The Sharks get absolutely waxed by the Edmonton Oilers. Magnus Chrona gets hung out to dry, but the Sharks prospects looking good at World Juniors. So all that and more on today's episode.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even if they lose a bajillion games in a row. Yeah, that's brutal. If you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, and of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And the Sharks, 7 straight losses now as they lose 5-0 by the Edmonton Oilers in a very not competitive game. Even though when we dig into the numbers here, the numbers are going to actually look somewhat favorable to the Sharks, but this game was not competitive in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to talk about Magnus Chrona and his debut, splitting up the weird lines that we got in the third period. Take a look at the numbers behind this game, and then, of course, talk about the hope that is the future in the Sharks at the World Juniors. So before we get into all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you guys by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app, use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Woof. Not as bad as the getting blown out 10 to 1, 10 to 2. I put this up there with the Kraken game where they lost like 7-1. That's kind of where I put this 5-0 beatdown. At least like yesterday they lost 5-1 to the Kings, and you saw like competitive hockey from the Sharks, for stretches of play. And this game, it was from the jump. The Edmonton Oilers just came out and basically looked like they were on the power play for good chunks of the game, despite only having about 15 seconds of actual power play time in this game. The Oilers just kind of did whatever they wanted to. And we're going to start with, of course, with Magnus Chrona, who made his NHL debut and was, first NHL start, had his debut earlier in the season where in one of those 10 to very little losses. I think it was against the Penguins, and kind of had that moment spoiled because you're getting absolutely blown out and you're the laughing stock of the NHL at that point. And then tonight, right, you dream about your NHL debut and kind of what that goes. And I'm sure just like everybody who's ever dreamed about playing in professional sport, you picture yourself being the hero, et cetera, et cetera. It is in the backyard pretending I was going to be the next Dan Marino and win the Super Bowl as a kid, even still every once in a while now. But, and you get to it and then this happens, right? And the Sharks just were not competitive at all. And like any way, shape, or form, just the defense was an absolute train wreck tonight. Just constantly making bad decisions, pinching when they shouldn't be pinching, putting their guys in bad situations. How many times was it like, on the Hyman goal, right, where it's Frau and then Zetterlund is playing the defense, and Zetterlund needs to do a better job of trying to cover Hyman there. But how many times is it just the defense putting the goalie in a bad situation because they're, caught up in the play or whatever it was, maybe trying to push for offense, et cetera, et cetera. But like, then defense is for nerds, et cetera. But you have to be actually like good at offense to be a defense is for nerds type of player. Just you feel terrible. He's a good kid. I talked to him, did an interview with him end of October, right? And good kid, like I'm sure he's had plenty of games like this where, he's been hung out to dry and gotten pulled, but you just feel bad for the poor kid who's been working towards this moment for his entire life. And this is the moment he's going to have. And hopefully he'll have plenty of good NHL moments and stuff, but just tough for that poor, you have to feel for that poor kid. So I understand what David Quinn was doing, right? Especially with Mackenzie Blackwood being ill. Magnus Chrona has been the most, I would say, he hasn't had the splashes, but I think he's been the most consistent of the Barracuda goaltenders, right? Trying to reward a guy for his work so far, and plus you're kind of in a pinch. I probably would have just run Kaapo Kahkonen out there for 2 nights in a row, especially since you don't play again until Sunday. It's just like, and especially the way Edmonton's been playing right now, where they're just an absolute buzzsaw. But anyway, hindsight's 2020, et cetera, et cetera. Just hope that this doesn't just, hopefully better days for Kaapo Kahkonen, or for Magnus Chrona. So other interesting things. So we got, the line jumble in the third period. And I don't know if it was David Quinn looking for a spark, whatever it was, just interesting line decisions, especially in the third period, right? William Eklund playing on the third line with Studnicka and Luke Cunnin, like that's the one, right? And I get, William Eklund hasn't scored a goal in 6 games, but this was no way a William Eklund issue tonight. And maybe it was trying to find a spark, trying to see something new. We've kind of had the same lines for the past couple weeks with guys, and I fully expect the lines to kind of get put back. Or actually, who knows what the lines will look like next? But I just, the William Eklund playing on the third line. Maybe he's trying to find Eklund a better matchup. I don't know, but just absolutely insane to me, to be honest, right? Hertl, we've talked over the past couple of podcasts, and again, I have very limited access to advanced stats, right? Just whatever National Stat Trick, websites. David Quinn has a plethora of stats and info and information, and he knows more about coaching than I will ever, knows more about hockey than I will ever. I just don't get that, right? I mean, I thought the Hertl Zadina Eklund line played pretty well tonight, despite everything we saw. I know they had a couple goals against from them. And one of them, they got caught out there for a long shift, right? Where they kind of played an entire shift and then got caught in their own zone, had to play basically, 2 shifts in one. And that led to a goal there. That was the Cody Ceci, Zach Hyman, and then they gave it to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. But that line was kind of producing, at least attempted to produce offense, and then you kind of split it up. So again, we will see if it was more of a trying to find a spark or whatever. Just thought it was really interesting. We'll dig into the numbers here and kind of show the comparison of what that line looked like with Hertl and what that line, or with Eklund, and what that line looked like without Eklund here in just a second. But this just the Sharks, we've seen this team just, they started the season just unable to have sustained offense. Some of that caught up, and you got some positive regression to the mean, and then now you're kind of in another valley of this team just struggling to find any sort of consistent offense. So, and it's not getting much easier when you have to go play Colorado on Sunday, and the schedule does not really lighten up here. We could be looking at another for 10 plus game losing streak here. So just quickly, you play Colorado on Sunday, Detroit at home on Tuesday, and then Winnipeg on Thursday the 4th. Then on Saturday you play the Maple Leafs, and then you start an East Coast swing with the Maple Leafs and Canadians. I guess the Canadians is the game you're kind of circling, but if you lose the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're at 12-game losing streak potentially there. And I know they beat the Red Wings. I know they beat the Jets earlier this year. That's still that's a lot of losses starting to pile up again. So, but hey, Macklin Celebrini is really good at hockey, so we'll keep the eyes on the prize here with that. So, yeah, we'll get to kind of dig into the numbers, and of course, we'll talk about the bright spot that is the Sharks prospects. And man, adding Macklin Celebrini is going to be super awesome. So, we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Today's episode is brought to you guys by AG1 by Athletic Greens. Keeping up with proper nutrition is really hard. You're busy, you're stuck at your desk, you eat whatever you can just to get through your day. But what if you could start your day with the ultimate daily nutritional assurance? With a single scoop of AG1 and a glass of water, you can do just that and absorb 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens to help start your day right. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up with a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day, which just isn't sustainable. So he created Athletic Greens after experience how difficult it was to create optimal nutrition on your own, all for around $3 a day. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, let's dig into the numbers. So they're going to look much closer than they actually are. This game actually was, right? And I think a lot of that can be the Edmonton taking their foot off the gas. You're up 5-0. You know, whatever you want to point to, but the numbers are going to look way closer than this game actually was. So we had 52 minutes and 15 seconds of 5v5 ice time, 56-44 shot attempts in favor of the Oilers, 56-44% Corsi. Nice and easy there, right? Not a math guy, but that one's easy. So actual shots on net, 27-20 in favor of the Oilers. Scoring chances for 32-23 in favor of the Oilers, 11-11 high danger chances, and 2.51-206 expected goals for the Sharks. Actually got kind of unlucky tonight when it came to actually scoring goals. You counting all situations, the Sharks could have had 3 expected goals. Was they should have had 3. They ended up with 0, and there was a lot of hit the post. Zadina just misses on hit. Zadina had a couple where he hits the post. Eklund from behind the net finds him, and Zadina just not ready for the pass. A bunch of stuff like that, right? Where it's just Sharks unable to capitalize on their opportunities, and that has kind of been a running theme of the Sharks recently. It's just their inability to capitalize on their opportunities just because they're such a talent-poor team. So the actual lines to start the game. So Ryan Carpenter returned. Giovanni Smith went on IR. It just kind of seems like every one man up, one man down situation. Could be, again, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat, could be Mike Grier kind of trying to game the system a little bit so he doesn't have to put anybody on waivers. That's if you want to put your tinfoil hat on, you could do that. But, you just kind of notice guy goes on IR, comes back from IR right around the same time. Who knows? Again, tinfoil hat, JD. So, but yes, the lines tonight, Eklund hurdles Zadina, and then you had Zettelin, Granlund, Duclair, Cunnin, Studnicka, Hoffman, and then Barabanov, Carpenter, Justin Bailey. Tonight, Barabanov has just not looked great this season. And Logan Couture cannot come back fast enough for Barabanov because those guys just play really, really well together. So, but anyway, Eklund hurdles Zadina, 9-10, time on ice, 10 shots for, 8 allowed, or shot attempts, 10-8. Actual shots was 6-5, gave up 2 goals. Expected goals for 0.82 to 0.25. It's pretty good. Again, I know they gave up 2 goals. Scoring chances for 6-3. High danger chances for 4-1. 3 zones, offensive zone starts. So that's not too bad. Again, I think they got kind of matched up against the second line of the Oilers, which makes sense, right? That's one of your best lines to try to score, put them in a little bit better opportunity. But alas, did not happen. Cunning and Studnicka Hoffman played the second most ice time at 5v5 at 8:31, 9-4 shot attempts, 5-4 actual shots on goal, 0-0 scoring chances, 0.26 to 0.19 expected goals for, 2-2 scoring chances, 1-1 high danger chances. So Zetterlund, Granlund, Duclair had a brutal night tonight. 7:43 time on ice. And again, you're playing against McDavid. McDavid has been, ever since he's gotten healthy, dude's been on a mission to try to catch up for all those missed points. And you kind of got lucky. You only held McDavid to 1 point, and he could have had a couple of goals that either hit the post or he just missed or whatever. They get 2 posts tonight. So 3-13. 2-6 actual shots on goal, did give up a goal, 0.15 to 0.67 expected goals for in favor of the Oilers, 2-10 scoring chances, 0-6 high danger chances, with a lot of neutral and defensive zone starts. So then the Barabanov, Ryan, Justin Bailey line played 7:34, 8-7 shot attempts. Actual shots was 1-2, 0.45 to 0.05 expected goals for. So not a bad night from that line. Again, as your fourth line, they had the second most expected goals for, behind only the Hurdle, Eklund, and Zadina line. So just an interesting note, right? So we had Duclair ended up flipping and going. So kind of Duclair got bumped up, Hoffman got bumped up, and then Eklund got bumped all the way down to the third line. So smaller sample size, et cetera, et cetera. So the Zetterlund, Granlund, Hoffman line 3-2 shot attempts. So Eklund, Studnicka, Cunnin played 304, 5-3 shot attempts, with a 0.27 expected goals for. That was third. They played 3 minutes together. Interesting. Duclair, Hurdle, Zadina played 349, 1 shot attempt, gave up 9, 1-3 actual shots, expected goals for 0.05. Woof. So just an interesting, again, analytics aren't the end all be all. There's another tool in your toolkit, right? They're not the end all be all. Like, that's why I tried my best to kind of match what I see watching the game and what the numbers tell me. And I think that tells you, what I saw tonight was Eklund was not the problem. And it is interesting that he was the one who got sent down, to play on the third line. And even when he got sent down to play on the third line, guess what? He played well in that third line and added a lot of pop to that third line. So just one period, just an interesting sad. So I'll spare the goalie numbers because, again, I feel so bad for, and this seems to be the tone coming out of the locker room, was that everyone just felt so bad for Magnus Chrona tonight. It's poor kid. You feel bad for him. So anyway, we'll get into World Juniors here. Again, the rest of the stats here. This game was, the numbers made it look like this game was much closer than it actually was. What you saw tonight, I think, is you saw Eklund kind of made some flash plays. The Sharks weren't able to kind of sustain that. And a lot of the other lines, I think, struggled to have any sustained offense. And the defense was a hot mess tonight. So we'll turn the page on this game and talk about the future, and why the future is the children. So we'll do that here in 1 second. It's almost a halfway point in the season. Sharks fans, it's been a tough one. Regardless of where we are in the current standings, I want to remind you that you can still win big by playing Daily Fantasy Hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleepers are our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you do is pick your favorite players, whether they're NHL superstars like McDavid, Crosby, McKinnon, or some of your personal favorite players like Tomas Hertl, Mario Ferraro, Slippery Pete, and record their more or less in their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus and minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Sharks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right, so we had just 2 World Junior games today. I was able to watch a good chunk of these at work. Don't tell my boss. But Will Smith, we'll start with the Team USA game. Will Smith and Eric Polkamp, both of them actually got a goal today. Smith I thought, looked outstanding today. And again, I know they're playing lesser competition, but Team USA kind of did what you expect for a team like Team USA, who's one of the, 3 you kind of pick. You kind of think it's going to come down to between Canada, Sweden, and US and on potential gold, who's going to win gold. And that team played really well. They got a lot of competition, or a lot of that line of the Cutter Gauthier, Jimmy Snuggerud, and then who else am I missing? That line that's really tired today, but that line, which oh my god, it's gonna drive me nuts. I can't think of the third one on there because it's like an all-time name line too. It's really great. Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up now. But that line really, really played well for them. And remember, okay, Will Smith is playing on the third line. Basically, other than Canada, I would argue Will Smith is probably a first line player for any other team in this tournament, right? Just because that's how good this team is, because of Team USA is, right? I'm pulling on up right now. McGroarty, how can our dude Rutger McGroarty? Sorry, I'm sure there's somebody in their car just screaming Rutger McGroarty this the past minute right here. But that line was amazing, right? And that's the Team USA can just roll out a bunch of awesome lines. But Will Smith had a goal tonight, or this morning. You saw just passing ability, of course, the chemistry he has with his line mates and Ryan Leonard, and Gauthier, that line is just, or Gabe Pro, and Ryan Leonard. That line is just really, really good, and they've been really, really good for Boston College, and they just seem to be kind of doing the same thing. So, but he just doesn't get the same ice time that he does at Boston College, et cetera, et cetera. That's what happens when you get these really, really stacked teams. A guy like Will Smith is having to kind of play on the third line. So, but you saw a lot of promising stuff. He continued to play well. If you're into game scores, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a big, I like the game scores. Mitch Brown has one that he's been doing for for the World Juniors. And Will Smith's game score today was awesome. He was one of the top, seriously, one of the top guys in today's game. So didn't get to see the same production, but Will Smith's doing fine. So Eric Polkamp, good for him to get a goal. again, like I talked about the other day, want to see how if he can kind of continue to carve out a little bit more ice time. He is that 7th defenseman for Team USA. But again, when you're up 11 to whatever, I think it was 11-3 or whatever the final was, he got to earn a little bit more ice time and made good use of it with scoring that goal. So Team USA is doing really well. It's going to be fun to see if they can. That's the nice thing with so many prospects, you can kind of root for all the different teams and see, so like if we get Canada and US or Sweden, like whoever wins, you can kind of continue to root for those guys. But it is fun to watch Team USA. And again, if Will Smith's not getting the same production that you would kind of expect, he's again playing on the third line. And people keep asking Quint Musty, who are you taking off this Team USA team, right? Like, Quinn Musty's awesome. He's going to be on Team USA next year. Quinn Musty had another goal tonight in the with Sudbury. Like Quinn Musty, it's so hard to crack this lineup. Who are you taking off? Right? It's tough to ask Quinn Musty to make this lineup. I fully expect Musty to be on the team next year. But switching over to Team Sweden, Bysted, monster game today. Again, if you're looking, if you like the stats and stuff, Bysted was an absolute ridiculous. He's actually, if you're looking at all the micro stats, games 5v5 all combined, Bysted, here's the people in front of Bysted right now. Frank Nazar, who had a bajillion assists today. Jimmy Snuggerud, who had a bajillion goals today. Magnus Chrona, who's going to be the first overall pick and hopefully to the Sharks. Filip Bysted. Bysted just dominates whenever it comes to this World Juniors. So he had an assist today. At least that's what I've been told on the internet. But he had an assist today on a Matthias Havlik goal, which is something we like to see as Sharks fans. But Bysted and Germany played Sweden really tough, and Germany had a big win the other day. The team is, they play hard, they play tough, and Sweden had to kind of sweat this out for a little bit, right? It was only 1-0 going in at the end of the first period. And then Sweden kind of started to, crack through and kind of broke it open there. But Bysted played really well, and Havlik played really well. Our good friend Hattie was tweeting about Havlik today, and just like how his game really kind of suits for this tournament. So yeah, he is good things to see from the Sharks. So again, try not to make too much out of a tournament, right? This isn't like the Sharks are going to win the Stanley Cup in like 2 years. You try not to take too much out of it. Like when we had Hattie on, you want to see what you can pick and pull, but it's good to see the way that the Sharks players are kind of rising up to the occasion. We got more, I think Team Canada and Team Sweden play against each other tomorrow, so it's going to be a good opportunity to see our boy Jake Furlong play, see potentially our boy Macklin Celebrini, and enjoy World Juniors. It's been really fun to watch so far. So that's going to do it for me today. Really tired tonight. So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back on Monday. Yes, we will have I know it's New Year's Day. We'll have an episode for you guys recapping the Avs, probably continue World Juniors talk. And now we're starting to get guys getting back into prospects, getting back into action. So maybe early next week, we'll probably also do another prospect brief where we can, kind of checking on some of the guys as they're getting back into action. Some of the college guys are getting back. I know Portland played the Portland Winterhawks played the other night. So Luca Cagnoni is back in action. So Quint Musty back in action. So we'll probably do another prospect brief episode here coming up soon. So that's going to be it for me today. Be back on Monday. Make sure you guys are following wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Until Monday. Bye, friends.